What's good, YouTube? Welcome to Pros Only TV. You're here with myself, Roland. Now, before we begin, I need everybody to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this video when you're done. Manchester United lost 4-2 at home to Liverpool today. Poor performance from the team. Off the back of that Leicester loss, obviously we've made 10 changes. We're coming into this game knowing that if we win, we secure second place, and we can condemn Liverpool into the Europa League, and even lower than that if they lose. But yeah, let's get into it, man. Like, the lineups for me, obviously, Ollie reverts back to the 11 that not the 11. Well, yeah, makes one change probably from that 11 that beat Aston Villa. Bailly comes into the side. Obviously, Maguire is injured, so he can't play, and then Rashford starts. Rashford shouldn't be starting, in my opinion. When you can, if we have a choice between Greenwood and Rashford right now, like, I'm playing Greenwood. Like, Greenwood scored 6 in the last 6. Rashford's been poor for several months. He's only in the team off of the fact that he scored 21 goals this season, and he's had like 13, 14 assists, like in all comps. Like, I just don't understand why he gets into the side when he's performing very poorly, and then, like, nobody can really pinpoint why he's performing poorly. People are saying he's carrying an injury. People are saying that he's just lost of form. People are saying he's just not really that good. But the statistics show that he's putting in the if you don't watch the games and you just look at the statistics, you think he's playing amazing, but he's actually not. When you watch it, and this is how I watch games. I don't use statistics to back up arguments. Like, I watch the games and use my eyes. I do the eye test, and when I'm watching him play, I get frustrated because he consistently runs into blind alleys. He consistently loses the ball in certain positions where it would have been just easier for him to pass the ball. But that's neither here nor there. And then we kind of start the game off. First 20-25 minutes, we're dominating the game from possession, and we're really in the faces of the Liverpool players. We're pressing them high. We're winning a number of turnovers, and we're just trying to put pressure on them to try and get that first goal. And then that first goal comes. So Pogba gets the ball off in the on the left hand side, switches it over to the right to Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka passes the ball into Bruno in the box. Bruno shoots with the outside of his right foot, and the ball hits Nat Phillips, and it goes in for an own goal. I don't think it was given as an own goal. I think it was given as a Bruno goal. So I think that's 28 for the season for him in all comps. But yeah, that was just kind of like the finisher on the dominance that we put in that first 25 minutes of the first half. And, like, with that, you know, we're thinking, okay, we've got the platform to try and go ahead now. And obviously we haven't gone ahead in many games this season, so, you know, you never know how the team can react to it. And obviously this is a big game, so you really want to be able to go ahead and try and hold on to your lead for as long as you can, and then try and get the second, because at that point the other team now have to come at you. And so we do the things that we're supposed to do best, which is the counter-attack thing, but for some reason it just didn't happen. Then we have the penalty incident, right? So we have a corner. Liverpool have a corner. They put the ball into the box. We failed to clear it twice. I think Wan-Bissaka and Bailly didn't click, or Bailly tried to clear it, couldn't clear it, and then there was like a clumsy challenge or a rash challenge on I think it was Nat Phillips again, where the ball breaks and then Bailly kind of like puts his foot to the ball. But then with that, he's also hitting that Phillips now. So the refs gives him a pen, because in real time it looks like a pen. They called him over with the VAR. He looks at the monitor, comes back, and he overrules it. So at that point in the game, I'm thinking, okay, I love VAR, right? But then literally seconds later, there's another set piece, or another corner, sorry, and then Jota scores. And it's just real sloppy from set pieces, from corners this season. Like, and one thing I don't understand is, how come we all can see that the team is very poor from set pieces? So much height in that side. Pogba, McTominay, Cavani, Rashford. Like, there's so much height in our side. The two centre halves, there's all very tall people, and they still can't organise themselves to clear a simple ball away from the box when there's a corner or a set piece. And this is something that obviously is going to be going down to the coaching staff, because I don't think that the players are good enough to organise themselves. So the coaching staff should be looking at these problems and saying amongst themselves, all right, we go back to the drawing board and we just figure out a way to make sure that the team does the right things when they're defending a set piece or a corner. So then, before half time, Liverpool score again. Obviously, they're dominating at that point. When they get the equaliser, they start to dominate. And then again, another sloppy defensive mistake from a set piece this time. Pogba, whose man was Firmino, like, he was standing mad square onto him. So he's not even like, he's looking at the man instead of looking at the ball. And this is the issue. Like, what is going on when, like, if it's man-to-man marking, like, you should know who your man is, because you would already have worked on this in training. Everybody would know who their man is. So when any situations arise, then you know that that's your man. You know where he's going to be roughly when you're there on the set piece. Just make sure that you head that ball or win the ball in the air. And Pogba basically gets dunked on. Like Firmino gets in ahead of him basically and puts it in the net. And we're 2-1 down at half time, and you're just saying to yourself, like, this has just been. It's been a very, very up and down half. We're dominating, and then all of a sudden we just lose our way. And I think that was mostly down to the fact that we just kept giving the ball away, especially after we scored that first goal. Now, that's obviously clear from McFred. Like, those two clearly are not good on the ball, both of them. Like, I hate the fact that the fan base love to just pit them against each other. Like, you shouldn't be pitting the two of them against each other. They're both equally as bad as each other. Some have better. They both have attributes that are better than others in terms of the overall spectrum, but the two of them together, they're not good enough to be starting games week in, week out. And I feel like this defeat has also exposed the myth that they are like more defensively secure for the team. Like, because today, wayward passes, even you making all these wayward passes and giving the ball away, the other team, especially if it's a good team like Liverpool's attack is, they're always going to come at you, and then they're going to expose you even further. So, like, I just don't understand why that people have given this kind of like title to them to say that they're such a very good defensive side. I just don't understand it, but I mean, it is what it is. And then we go into the second half, and literally, like, as we come out in the second half, literally within a minute or two, Firmino scores again. Another sloppy passage of play. Henderson passes the ball out to Fred. Fred kind of does like it's weird. Like, why are you you're not confident enough to be able to have your back to the play and then knock the ball out to the side? Like, it's the same thing he basically did against Leicester in the FA Cup. Same exact thing. Receives the ball kind of on the half turn and then knocks it. And then he's not watching who's there. Like, he's not that kind of midfielder that has the windshield wipers, where like how like Scholes used to pick it up deep and he used to have the windshield wipers already. He already knew what was going on. He had the pictures. Like, Fred can't do that. So then Fred gives the ball away. Then Luke Shaw gives the ball away, and then like a shot comes in from, I think, Alexander-Arnold, and then Henderson doesn't catch it, kind of parries it, and then like the ball continues to bounce, and then it goes into the path of Firmino and he scores. And it also begs the question to me about Henderson. Like, everybody's moving like Henderson is now the number one. He's now ready to be the number one and take a step up. And I'm thinking to myself, you've got a keeper in De Gea who's in his prime. Once again, and I've said it on previous videos and I've said it on tweets, like, De Gea is not finished. Like, De Gea is literally in his prime. And goalkeepers, they tend to peak a lot later in their career. So when you start hitting 30, 31, 32, that's when the keepers actually show their worth. Like, and I understand why Henderson was brought back, in order to try and like kind of give De Gea a bit of a kick up the backside so that he can like become a lot better in terms of like just improve his overall game. But like, to say that he should now sit down and he be the cup keeper and then Henderson now be the number one throughout the league, despite the fact that we know he's not ready, because we've seen him be a bit rash. I think it was the game against Burnley, he was doing a lot of rash things, and and today he's showing a little bit of rashness in some of the things he's done, not showing enough composure. And people were talking about him being a leader without Maguire and stuff like that, and I'm thinking to myself, like, he's not at that level. This guy's been on loan like for like several years. He's come back into the side, like, and then you guys are tagging him with he's a leader, he's going to be vocal for that back four. He didn't do nothing. He didn't calm that back four down today. Like, he was as bad as all of them, to be honest, like, especially on that goal. But I mean, so now we're 3-1 down, and then you've got then a substitution happens. Fred comes off. Who comes on? It was Greenwood. Greenwood comes on. So then obviously that's a change in formation. Rashford comes off the right. He switches to left. Pogba goes into midfield, and then Greenwood is on the right. And then obviously you can see with that switch kind of like changed everything. And you know, they were saying in commentary like, oh, Rashford looks more comfortable on the left. He's a left-sided player, and it's like, good players can play on both sides. Like, if you're a wide player, you can play on the right, you can play on the left if you're a good player. Like, I don't understand why Rashford has to play on the left or Martial has to play on the left. Okay, you got one side of you're either stronger on your left or your right, but it doesn't stop you from playing either side, because if you play on your opposite side, you can cut inside and shoot, or cut inside and assist, and rather than go on the outside. So, like, I just don't understand why there's such an emphasis on, oh, Rashford is better off the left than he's off the right. I just don't understand it. But so the balance of the team kind of changes. Obviously now we've lost a bit of that attacking intent from Pogba. He's now sitting a lot deeper, and so he can try and find those balls into the forwards. But obviously the dynamic of the game changed. You're seeing more of an overlap from Shaw. He's coming forward to help Rashford on that left hand side, and then we get a goal. Rashford a little 1-2 with Cavani, and then Rashford slots it home to make it 3-2. And at that point, you're thinking, okay, now the tide of the game is turning, so now we're back on top again. But it really just didn't materialize. We didn't really dominate from that point. And I think that, you know, even though that change was made, and it's kind of proactive from Oli, he could see that, you know, Fred wasn't working, or McTominay, one of the two weren't working. He made that change and just changed it a little bit, and just like try to do something to try and like stop us from regressing, basically, because we were really in free fall. We were just giving the ball away, and it's down to that midfield. That McFred midfield is clearly not good enough, and it's really up to the club in the summer. Are they going to give the manager the money to be able to add to this squad? Because we all know that this squad has got some really good players in it, but there's some obvious areas in the squad, and that midfield being one is not good enough. Like, even McTominay today, like, he's not going to get heat today. Like, Fred is going to get all the heat. He got taken off, but McTominay was equally as bad. He kept giving the ball away, and like, I just hate the fact that he's got all this confidence in the world. Like, I don't understand why. Like, and I know why. Like, you got Ferguson and like people like at the club, like the manager and the coach and stuff, that are really bigging him up, and it's made his head so big that he thinks he's actually good enough to be starting games for Manchester United. And it's just like, he's not good enough to play for Manchester United. I mean, like, keeps giving the ball away, gets booked, and literally 5 minutes later he nearly got himself sent off. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you obviously are not composed enough to be able to even handle that situation. Like, when we need you to be able to play balls forward, you're playing them sideways, you're playing them backwards, you're not risking. So you're clearly not good enough. You're maybe a good squad player, a good player to have around, you know, you like to be vocal and stuff like that. That's cool. But you shouldn't be starting games for Manchester United. And I'm hoping in the summertime they get in a midfield, and that now takes away the responsibility from the both of them. They both can sit down on the bench. And it's clear that they need somebody who's going to be a bit more of a defensive midfielder. Me personally, I like to see deep line playmakers. I like a Verratti. I like Andre Gomez at Everton. People that can sit deep, but then they can break lines from deep. Like, you know, a Pjanic, or who else is a good deep line playmaker in the world right now? I mean, you know that Pielo type. You know what I mean? Like, I want somebody like that, where they can actually play the ball from deep, like, and break lines from deep, as opposed to being just an out and out destroyer like Ndidi, for example. Like, because obviously you need to have a bit more at United. You're going to need a bit more technique on the ball. Like, you need to be able to carry the ball. You need to be able to find your man, pass forward, like somebody like how Michael Carrick was. Basically, he wasn't really a destroyer, but he could get in the mixer. Like, he could exchange tackles with people. He could stop attacks from happening and break up play. But that wasn't all his game. He was actually very elegant on the ball, and he could break the lines. So, I mean, that midfield is where we literally lost the game today. And then obviously as we're pushing forward, trying to get that equaliser, you know, we're always susceptible to the break. And then Salah gets the fourth goal for Liverpool. Matic giving the ball away as he's trying to drive forward to try and push forward for this equaliser. He slips, and I think he gives the ball away. And then it's just a breakaway from Liverpool, and Salah seals the game for Liverpool. So, I mean, and then it makes it 4-2. So, I mean, when I look at all of that, I say to myself, look, the game was was going bad, and I was like, this is where Ollie should be earning his money. The team is out there and they look lost. So it's your job to go out there, and it's your job to be able to change it and turn it around. He did that fairly early in the second half. Takes off Fred and changes the shape, changes the personnel, and then we go from there. And for me, I'm just looking at that and I'm saying, okay, good, you've done that, but it's just not enough, because I don't think that we have the full quality in that squad. And it's just kind of leading me into a deeper conversation. Like, people are expecting us next season to now progress from where we are. We should finish second. I mean, the only games, what are our next games? Our next game I think on Sunday is now, who is it? It's Fulham. I think we got Fulham at home. And then is it two games left? Is it Fulham at home and then Wolves away? I think it is. Yeah, I think it's Fulham at home and then Wolves away, and then we're done with the season, right? And then obviously we got the Europa League final, and if we win those two games, I think we come second. And then now we've come second. The next progression for this side is to go and challenge for the league and try and win it. Now with the current squad, it's clear that we're not going to be able to win the league. And like, you just have to just compare it between ourselves and City. City have a squad stacked full of players that are really competing for that starting 11. Why is it that whenever we're linked with players and we want to add to the squad, there's always the question mark of, oh, what's going to happen to Rashford, or what's going to happen to Maguire, or what's going to happen to Luke Shaw or Wan-Bissaka? I would prefer it that every player was scared of their role in the team, to the point where it will make you perform every single game. So I don't know if people remember it, but when Rashford and when Mourinho was at the club, right, Rashford and Martial were playing off the left predominantly. They weren't up front, because obviously Zlatan was there, and then Lukaku in the second season. But those two, especially in that second season, they were off the left and they were performing. I don't know if there was a small period where you could see them or not small period. It's probably about half the season. They were before Sanchez came in. They were performing week in, week out. Literally, one person will score and then they're on the bench. The next game, the other person will score and then they're on the bench. And it brought out such a competitive spirit between the two of them, that they were competing with each other. Obviously, it was friendly competition, but it meant that it was competitive. It meant that they performed, because if they didn't perform, they wouldn't be playing the next game. We should be having that across the squad. Like, nobody should feel comfortable with their position. Like, when you look at Rashford right now, he actually thinks he's the big dog. And it's like, he shouldn't be thinking he's the big dog. He should know amongst himself that regardless of the goals and the assists that I've made, I've been poor this season. So, or for most of the season, I've been poor. Like, and we don't know why that is. People are saying he's carrying an injury. I just think he's been poor. Like, I just think that he's not got any competition. And so, because he hasn't got any competition, he knows that he can perform badly and play the next game, because he's not going to get dropped. And like, he's basically the golden child of the side of the club now. So they like, and Ollie's not ruthless enough to say, look, you're not playing well, I'm gonna start agreeing with ahead of you until you get your ideas together or something happens, basically. So you got that, and then then on the other side we've got the McFred thing. They shouldn't be starting for Manchester United, no chance. In goal, I think De Gea should be playing. Like, he should be playing ahead of Henderson. Like there should be I think there needs to be elements of seniority in the side, and there also needs to be elements of, well, you're not on form, so you shouldn't be playing. Like, we need a centre half for sure. Like, or you could see that Maguire was missed today, but then at the same time, it's like, we don't have a squad that's good enough to even rotate. So you can see that when certain players leave the squad, the drop off in quality is so bad that, like, they don't even look good. And even Tuesday night was evidence of that. Like, you let 10 players go, and then you throw these 10 players into the squad. Most of them are not good enough to be even in the squad. And if we want to have a chance of winning the title next season, we need a competitive squad. I don't understand why we've signed Cavani to the contract. No matter how well he's done this season, I think he scored 15, 16 goals this season, like, in all comps. Like, no matter how well he's done, he's a stopgap. Like, why don't you go out there and sign Harry Kane, who at 27 is now in the prime of his career, and he's at a club that unfortunately is not ambitious. Like, they're not going to ever get to that level. They've been punching above their weight for several years. You know that if you bring him to your club, he's going to guarantee you 20 goals plus a season. He's been doing that across his career since he started at Spurs. So you bring him in regardless of the cost, because you know that what you're paying for is going to be worth it. Even if he has some slight injury problems throughout the season, his form doesn't dip. He's literally on the up, and he's like basically in the top 3 of strikers in the world. So you bring him in regardless of the cost, no matter how hard it is to negotiate with Daniel Levy, all those excuses. You bring him in, and then he's a killer in front of goal. That means it's certified. It means that there's room for Greenwood to grow, because I think that even at his age 19, he shouldn't be playing 100 games for Manchester United. It doesn't make sense. Like, he's going to burn out soon. He'll be like Rashford in a few years if that's the case. So I mean, the club have got a mess to sort out, and it's like we've progressed, but then at the same time, there's another part of me that will say that we've had it's been a bit of papering over the cracks. You know, we've been brought out of a lot of jammy spots. I mean, it like coming back as many times as we have, you know, is there's a positive and a negative to it. Like, the positive is that we can come back and we don't lose our heads in the game. Our heads don't drop. But then at the other time is that we don't start games well. So what is the reasoning for that? Like, why are we never starting games on the front foot? Why are we not starting games well? That's a question mark. Like, you know, I mean, in next season, it's not like we have to improve, but then all the other teams around us are going to improve, and then the fans are going to be back in stadiums. Like, we've won pretty much all of our away games. We might go this season unbeaten if we beat Wolves away from home, but that's never going to happen again, because fans will be back in the stadium. The reason why there's been so many away results for teams in the league this season is because there's been no fans at the home stadium. So you haven't got the fans on your back. You haven't got the fans on the referee's back pressuring them into decisions. Like, you haven't got the fans there to raise the home team when they're down. Like, so the players will go out there, especially the away teams, and go out there with less pressure. So you've got that next season. Then you've got Chelsea, who are definitely going to spend next season. You've got City, who are definitely going to spend, or at least refresh their squad a little bit next season. You've got Liverpool, who will have the injuries back, and will, even though Klopp said that he doesn't expect them to spend, they'll spend, because they need to keep their fans on side. And then you know, we know Arsenal where they are this season. They're not going to be as bad, I don't think. And the same with Spurs, I don't think they're going to be as bad. So you're going to have, and then Leicester as well. We keep forgetting about Leicester. Leicester will recruit again. I think they've already brought in Sumari as well. So he comes in again. So, and he comes in, he strengthens their squad. So they're going to keep coming as well. And they've shown that they can break into this top 4. So, like, if United don't keep up and spend the money that is required, centre half, right winger, another midfielder, and I would like to say another striker, but they've signed Cavani. If we don't bring those players in that are going to come in and start, like, come into the starting lineup, and I'm not talking about people that are going to hold bench, they have to come and start in our team. Like, I can't see us progressing beyond this, and the only place we can progress to is first, and they need to bring in the players for that. And I just can't see it happen. Like, no matter how many times people protest, and it's good that they're protesting, because obviously we want the Glazers out, or at least to spend the money that is required to rebuild this squad to get to that level where we can compete against City. But honestly, I don't even know what else I can really say, man. I mean, our next game is against Fulham. Manchester United lose 4-2 at home to Liverpool. We've given them another chance to try and snatch that top 4. But yeah, I can't even tell you how bad that result just felt watching that today. But hopefully we can shake it off, because we have the Europa League final coming up, and that is the real marker for this season. Because if we don't win that, there's real question marks on Oli at that point, because I've said this already, and I've said this in tweets too. He needs this trophy, because 3 years in, it's all good to be having a rebuild and a cultural reset and all these things. That's nice, but we will only measure you on trophies. Like, if you don't win a trophy in the next in this Europa League final, you have a big question mark over your head as to whether you should even still be at the club in the coming years, because that trophy should hopefully propel most of that squad in now having that winning feeling, and then hopefully begin a new era of where we can now begin to actually start challenging for the real top honours. But if he doesn't do that, then there's a huge question mark over him, and we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, this is me, Pros Only TV. Follow the socials coming up next. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And yeah, I'm out. Peace.